Imagine trying to solve a 5,000-piece jigsaw puzzle.
Oh, man, that is already a nightmare.
Right, but now imagine like half the pieces in the box actually belong to a completely different puzzle.
So you're just set up to fail from the start.
Exactly. And there's no picture on the cover to guide you. And get this, someone is standing right over your shoulder shouting contradictory instructions in a language you only vaguely understand.
That sounds incredibly stressful.
It is, but if you step back and look at the landscape of modern dietary advice, I mean, that is exactly what you are dealing with.
Oh, not really. It's a mess out there.
You are navigating an absolute avalanche of articles, influencers, and these massive textbooks telling you what you must do, what you must never do.
And why everything you ate yesterday was just a catastrophic mistake.
Yes, but the complexity, it actually serves a function, right?
It does. It acts as a barrier to entry. I mean, there is an entire industry built around making the simple act of human nourishment feel like a problem that requires a PhD to solve.
Which is wild when you think about it.
It is, because when people feel overwhelmed by contradictory data, they look for gurus. The confusion is, well, it's often the product itself.
Which is exactly why the source material for today's deep dive is such a radical departure from that norm.
It really is a breath of fresh air.
We are stepping entirely out of that manufactured noise today. We are focusing our analysis on a singular, intensely focused document, and it's just titled Best Fruits for Weight Loss.
So simple.
Right. Our mission here is to strip away the external static and really dedicate our time to unpacking the one uncompromising foundational thesis this document presents.
Because the text offers absolute linguistic and conceptual clarity. It doesn't, hedge its bets at all.
Let me lay out the entire factual premise of this text right here at the top, just so you, the listener, have the map before we start driving.
Good idea.
The text states, and I quote, "Berries, apples, pears, oranges, kiwi, and grapefruit are rich in fiber, water, and vitamins that help promote fullness and support healthy eating habits."
And that's it.
That is the complete thesis.
When you isolate it like that, it sounds almost, deceptively simple.
Yeah, it really does.
But if we put that single sentence under a microscope, the mechanics of how it builds its argument are profoundly dense.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to truly understand the utility of this text, we have to interrogate how it constructs its case.
Right, the structure of it.
Exactly. It begins by handing us a very specific cast of characters. Before the text even touches on the mechanisms of weight loss, it establishes the parameters of the playing field.
It gives us a highly curated roster.
A curated roster, yes. But the curation itself is what warrants scrutiny here. The text doesn't resort to the generic blanket advice of, just eat more fruit.
Which is what you hear everywhere else.
Everywhere. But no, it names 6, and only 6, specific items. Berries, apples, pears, oranges, kiwi, and grapefruit.
It's basically a VIP club.
That is exactly what it is. An elite, hand-picked sports team. If you consider the produce aisle at any modern grocery store, you are looking at a globalized network of agricultural options.
You have dozens, maybe hundreds of varieties available.
Right. Yet this text draws a hard line around these 6.
What's fascinating here is the deliberate exclusionary nature of that list.
Exclusionary. I like that.
Yeah. By explicitly naming these 6, the text is inherently telling us that for the specific targeted goal of weight loss, other fruits do not meet the standard.
Wow.
It is a definitive lineup that basically flattens botanical taxonomy in favor of utilitarian output.
I want to push back on that idea of taxonomy for a second, though.
Sure, go ahead.
If you look at this lineup, berries, apples, pears, oranges, kiwi, grapefruit, it makes almost no sense from a structural standpoint.
How so?
Well, you are grouping tiny, delicate berries with, heavy, thick-skinned citrus like grapefruit and oranges.
That's true.
And then you have the core and flesh structure of apples and pears sitting next to whatever category a kiwi even falls into.
The fuzzy category.
Right. Botanically, this is a chaotic grouping. So what is the invisible architecture holding them together?
You're touching on the exact brilliance of the curation. The text is demanding that we ignore the superficial differences in how these fruits grow or what they look like on the outside.
Okay.
It is grouping them strictly by their internal functional capacity.
So it's not about the packaging.
Exactly. The text suggests that despite their radically different evolutionary architectures, these 6 share a highly specific internal convergence that makes them elite tools for weight loss.
And for you listening, Think about the cognitive relief this provides.
Oh, it's massive.
If you are someone who suffers from decision fatigue, standing in the produce section trying to mentally calculate glycemic loads or water content, I mean, it can be paralyzing.
People just give up and buy cookies instead.
Exactly. But this text removes the burden of choice. It doesn't ask you to evaluate the melon section or debate the merits of tropical fruits.
No mangoes, no bananas.
It hands you a closed ecosystem. Berries, apples, pears, oranges, kiwi, grapefruit. That's it.
It creates an actionable boundary. It profoundly respects the reader's time by filtering out all that noise and providing a definitive starting line.
Which brings us to the obvious next question.
Mm.
We know the roster, but if their botanical structures are so wildly different, the text kind of owes us an explanation for the invisible thread tying them together.
Right. Why these 6?
Yeah, why were these specific 6 chosen over everything else in the store?
Well, the source immediately addresses that by shifting its focus from the subjects to their structural components.
It breaks them down.
Yes. It states they are explicitly linked by 3 elements: fiber, water, and vitamins.
I have to play devil's advocate here, though.
Go for it.
That explanation feels far too simplistic. Are those 3 things, fiber, water, and vitamins, really the absolute defining metrics that elevate this specific group?
It sounds a bit basic, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, I can get water from my kitchen sink. I can get vitamins from a cheap pill. I can stir a powdery fiber supplement into a glass.
You definitely could.
If that's all it takes, why does the text insist on these 6 fruits?
This raises an important question, and the text actually anticipates that skepticism through its phrasing.
Really? How?
It does not merely state that these fruits contain fiber, water, and vitamins. It uses a very specific modifier. It says they are rich in them.
Rich. So we're talking about concentration.
It's more than just concentration. The text is identifying a structural matrix.
A matrix.
Yes. Think about it. When you drink a glass of tap water, take a vitamin pill, and swallow a fiber supplement, you are ingesting isolated components.
Right. They're all separated.
Exactly. The text's use of rich in the context of these specific fruits points to this simultaneous integrated presence of all 3.
Oh, I see.
The fiber provides the physical scaffolding, the water is held within that structure, and the vitamins are suspended throughout. It is the architectural overlap of these elements that matters, not just their isolated presence.
Okay, that integrated matrix concept makes a lot more sense. It's like a nutritional trifecta.
A trifecta, exactly.
Yeah. Because if you just drink water, it passes right through you.
It's fast.
And if you just take a vitamin, you aren't changing your physical satiety at all. You're still hungry.
Precisely.
So the text is arguing that these 6 fruits are rich in a sort of like prepackaged engine.
And let's look at the specific order the text uses, too. It says fiber, water, and vitamins.
Is the order important?
Very. It starts with the macroscopic physical structure, the fiber. Then it moves to the volume and hydration, the water. Finally, it arrives at the microscopic, the vitamins.
Oh, wow.
It maps a logical progression from the physical architecture of the fruit all the way down to the micronutrient level.
So nature has effectively done all the engineering work for you.
Yes, you don't have to manually assemble this trifecta in your kitchen.
You just have to select from the roster.
That's the beauty of it.
But that forces us to look at the second half of the source sentence. We have the roster of fruits. We have their internal engine, that matrix of fiber, water, and vitamins.
Yeah.
What does the text claim this engine actually does?
It establishes a direct cause and effect relationship.
Okay.
The text states that this trifecta will help promote fullness and support healthy eating habits.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the text is actually mapping out a 2-step timeline there.
A 2-step timeline.
Yeah. Promoting fullness and supporting habits are not the same thing at all. They operate on completely different biological and psychological timelines.
That's a great point. Let's break down that timeline. How do you interpret the first action promoting fullness?
I see promoting fullness as an immediate tactical defense. Think of it like a physical shield.
A shield, okay.
When acute hunger hits you in the middle of the day, it is an aggressive biological signal. It is a literal attack on your focus.
That's all you can think about.
Exactly. So the fullness you derive specifically from the fibrous, watery matrix of these fruits acts as a shield you deploy in the moment. It blocks the hunger. It is a very short-term bodily response.
And the word choice reflects that immediacy, too. To promote something is to push it forward, to actively advance a state of being in the present moment.
Right.
The fruit actively advances your state of satiety.
Right. The shield goes up. But a shield is only useful while you are actively holding it.
Which isn't forever.
Exactly. If the text stopped at promotes fullness, it would just be describing a temporary biological band-aid. You will eventually get hungry again,
Of
right?
course.
But the text bridges that temporary state to a permanent one. It says, and support healthy eating habits.
The bridge is key.
If the fullness is the immediate tactical shield, then supporting habits is the long-term architectural blueprint.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the text is executing a massive conceptual leap here, and it does it so subtly.
How so?
It is bridging biology and psychology. Look at the progression we just tracked. You eat an apple, the fiber and water matrix triggers a physiological response in your digestive system fullness.
Which is pure biology.
Pure biology.
The deployment of the shield, as you called it.
Right. But the text asserts that this biological state of fullness is the direct catalyst for entering the psychological realm. It supports healthy eating habits.
That is the leap.
The source is making a profound argument that long-term behavioral change, which is essentially what weight loss is fundamentally reliant on managing short-term physical states.
I'm still stuck on the phrasing, though. It's a huge claim to say that just feeling full magically creates good habits.
It is a big claim.
I mean, I could be completely full from eating a massive pizza, but that certainly isn't supporting a healthy eating habit.
How does the text justify linking this specific fullness to long-term behavioral change?
It justifies it through the closed loop of the sentence itself. The text isn't talking about generic fullness.
Oh, right.
It is specifically talking about the fullness derived from the fiber, water, and vitamins of those 6 curated fruits. You have to read the sentence as a continuous chain.
So the source of the fullness dictates the outcome. Exactly. The matrix of the kiwi creates a specific quality of fullness. That quality of fullness, one rich in nutrients rather than empty calories, is what allows the psychological space for habit formation.
So it links a specific physical feeling to a behavioral outcome.
Yes.
It's effectively saying that you cannot build the blueprint of good habits if you are constantly dropping your shield and getting battered by acute, unmanaged hunger.
Precisely. And notice the shift in verbs, too. We discussed promote for fullness, an active, immediate push.
Right.
But the text uses support for healthy eating habits.
Support?
To support something implies holding up a structure over a sustained period of time. You promote an immediate biological feeling, but you support a long-term psychological architecture.
You promote the feeling, you support the architecture. That distinction is brilliant.
It's very intentional language.
But wait, let's look at the very first word in that cause and effect chain. The text says these fruits help promote fullness and support habits.
Just help.
Yeah, it doesn't say they cause it. It doesn't say they guarantee it.
The inclusion of the word help is incredibly important. It introduces agency.
Exactly. It implies a partnership.
A partnership between you and the shoot.
Right. The fruit cannot do all the work for you. If you eat a grapefruit but then actively choose to undermine your diet in every other way, I mean, the grapefruit isn't going to save you.
It's not magic.
The text is honest. It offers these 6 fruits as elite tools that will help you build the structure, but you still have to be the one swinging the hammer.
It entirely rejects the idea of a magic pill. It places the foundational tools in your hands, the fiber and water matrix of the roster, but leaves the ultimate responsibility for the behavioral habits on the reader.
Which is empowering, honestly.
It is. However, it strongly suggests that relying on willpower alone is a failing strategy.
Wait, how so? The text doesn't explicitly mention willpower anywhere.
It implies it through the mechanism of fullness.
Unpack that for me.
When people fail at building healthy habits, they are usually trying to use discipline, which is a finite psychological resource, to fight a biological deficit.
They're starving and trying to just tough it out.
Exactly. They try to outthink their hunger. The text argues that this order of operations is completely backwards. You don't start with the psychology, you start with the biology.
You outsource the biological fight to the fruit.
Yes. You use the dense fiber and water of a pear to physically satiate the biology.
Okay, I see.
Once the biology is satisfied, once the shield of fullness is promoted, your cognitive load is reduced. You are no longer wasting mental energy fighting hunger.
Wow.
That cleared psychological space is where the habit is supported. The habit is enabled by the biology rather than forced against it.
Because if you are genuinely physically full from the dense water and fiber of an apple, you don't need to exert massive willpower in that moment.
Exactly. The matrix is doing the heavy lifting for you.
Freeing up your mind to actually adhere to your long-term blueprint. It's an incredibly efficient system.
Efficiency is the defining characteristic of this entire sentence. There is no wasted energy anywhere in it.
So true.
The inputs, The curated roster of 6 fruits contain the exact structural properties, the trifecta of fiber, water, and vitamins required to trigger an immediate physical statefulness that ultimately sustains a long-term behavioral state healthy habits.
It's a perfect chain reaction.
Every single word in the source material is carrying load-bearing weight.
So what does this all mean?
It's a big question.
When we take a step back and look at the linguistic and philosophical journey we've just taken through a single sentence, it is remarkable.
It really is.
A topic as universally complex, emotionally fraught, and commercially exploited as weight loss was perfectly distilled by this text into a pristine, functional formula.
It operates as a masterclass in concise, utilitarian communication. It doesn't lecture you, it equips you.
It gave us a curated roster of 6 specific fruits, entirely bypassing the chaos of the produce aisle.
No more guessing.
It defined the internal engine, the rich matrix of fiber, water, and vitamins that separates these items from isolated supplements.
So the trifecta.
Right. And it mapped out a dual timeline of outcomes: the immediate deployment of the biological shield and the long-term construction of the psychological blueprint.
And for you, the listener, this is where the theoretical analysis we've done becomes deeply practical for your daily life.
Which is the whole point.
Knowledge is only valuable when it is understood and applied. The beauty of the text we've analyzed today is that it profoundly respects your cognitive load.
It really does.
In a world defined by information overload, you do not need another textbook on dietary theory to make progress.
You don't need to navigate the static.
You just need a functional tool. By isolating these 6 fruits and understanding the exact physical and psychological chain reaction they initiate, you can walk into a grocery store with complete autonomy.
You can bypass the noise, select from the specific lineup, and know exactly why it works.
It takes the anxiety and the mystery completely out of the process.
It replaces the overwhelming noise of the diet industry with a simple, elegant mechanism.
You eat the berry, you deploy the shield of fullness.
And in doing so, you clear the mental space to build the blueprint of a habit.
It transforms what is often framed as a daunting, monumental lifestyle change into a series of very manageable, highly specific physical actions that anyone can execute.
It really does. It grounds the entire concept of weight loss in the immediate present. And as we wrap up this deep dive into the text, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over on your own.
I love these.
We spent this time analyzing how the source beautifully connects the immediate physical sensation of fullness from these 6 specific fruits to the long-term support of healthy habits.
Right, the short term leading to the long term.
We've seen how the biology creates the space for the psychology, but think about the broader implications of that connection in your own life.
Okay.
If the simple, momentary act of deriving physical fullness from the structural matrix of an apple or a kiwi is the foundational catalyst for building long-term, life-altering behavioral habits.
The building block, essentially.
Exactly. How might your entire approach to your daily routine change if you started viewing every small, immediate physical choice you make not as an isolated event, but as the direct, load-bearing building block for your long-term behavioral architecture?